Grammarian, was the word of the day Geoff? If so, Lou absolutely nailed it. Lou came right out of the blocks in her speech with some really strong, expansive gestures. In particular, she used a lot of gestures with the open palm. Open palms are a sign of trustworthiness, and it's a fantastic way to build rapport with an audience that's far away. Lou also used her stage area really well. Virtual speakers often become like a tree and get rooted in the spot. You've got all of this area to play with and use. And a great example of this was when Lou was simulating the dialogue between her and Geoff. She stood here and spoke, and then Geoff was here replying to her. What I loved most about Lou's speech was her use of questions. In this virtual environment, you've got to try and create that connection as best as possible, and using questions is a fantastic way of doing this. Lou had lots of these questions interspersed through that speech and creating this back and forth feeling with the audience. In terms of suggestions for improvement, there's a couple of areas that I want to focus on. First is Lou's eye contact. Her eye contact bounced between looking into the camera and looking at herself on the screen. And you can see that it's here that we feel that connection as the audience. Intimacy comes through the camera. The way to remember this is to think, into me, you see. The second area that I'd like to see some improvement is the use of pauses throughout the speech. Firstly, to create some dramatic tension. Going to that election night, the election was happening. Only one hand went up. It was Geoff. Do you see how the pauses add that extra layer of tension to that scene? Also, pauses should be used at the end of those fantastic questions that you're answering. Do you like it when someone asks you a question and then doesn't give you time to respond? That's why you leave those pauses after you've asked a question. It allows the audience to think of a response in their mind, and it creates that feeling of having that back and forth conversation with you. Overall, Lou, I thought this was an excellent speech with some really strong body language, great use of questions to bridge that time gap. And ultimately, if you just add in a little bit more eye contact and layer in those pauses, that would make the speech even better. There's only one thing left I want to hear from Lou. What does tomorrow look like in Australia? Contest chair.